Hello and welcome everyone, this is Calebovitsch and today I would like to talk to you about Marvel Snap. Some basic tips for playing the game and increasing your collection level. So, as you already probably know, you start the game with the tutorial that teaches you most of the basics about the game, your collection, etc. You're leveling your stuff up through the first levels, you are getting some new cards for your starter deck already, and you are progressing through Jessica Jones, Kazar, Mr. Fantastic, Spectrum, Nightcrawler, Wolfsbane, White Tiger, and into Odin. And once you get Odin, you get out of the tutorial and you start playing in the so-called Pool 1 of cards. Now, the collection and the cards in Marvel Snap are divided into several pools, um, and that is also how the matchmaking, how finding your opponents is going to work, but I will get to that in a moment. In order to level up your collection, you need to acquire boosters for your specific cards. The way that you are doing that is if you are playing a game with a deck, let's say it is this deck. After the game is concluded, one of these cards is going to get a number of boosters equal to the rounds spent in the game. So if it's a game of full 6 rounds, one of these cards is going to get 6 boosters. But if one of the players retreated before that, it's going to get fewer boosters. Plain and simple. The more you play, the more boosters you're going to get, and I don't believe there is a cap level of how many you can get in a day. Now, in order to level up a card, you not only need boosters for that specific card, but you also need credits, one of the currencies within the game. Now, credits and gold, the more premium currency, is where things get really capped, because the way you are getting credits most of the time is from the daily missions. You get one regular and one hard every 8 hours, so 6 missions per day, giving you 450 credits per day. Also, every day you are getting a free thing in the shop of 50 credits. On this account, I've already taken that one up. And you are getting some through some events and season pass. But credits are limited, and the best way of using up your credits for upgrading cards is to upgrade all your commons into uncommons. For example, for this Swordmaster, if I wanted to upgrade a common to an uncommon, I'm paying 5 boosters, and I'm paying also 25 credits and gaining 1 collection level. So 25 for 1 is from common to uncommon. That is the best conversion rate that you can get on gaining your collection level. So what you are doing when you're starting out the game, you usually can make a deck that has 10 cards or 11 cards that work perfect, and use the last slot with that card that you've just gotten that is a common. Once you upgrade it, once it gets the boosters, once it gets upgraded to an uncommon, you throw it out of the deck, you put something new in. Because as you can see later, for example, from an uncommon to a rare, for 2 collection levels, you have to pay 100, so that's 50 per collection level. So the best conversion rate, once again, is common to uncommon. And then for the others, it doesn't matter if it's uncommon to rare, if it's legendary to ultra, etc., etc. What you also don't want to be doing, and I wish I knew this when I was starting the game, is in the shop you can go for fast upgrades. Now, the conversion rate for these is worse than you would get if you were just playing and gaining boosters on your own. Because here, for every collection level, you have, if you have 0 boosters for a certain card, you are paying 100 credits for each collection level. So it is really not worth it. Even if you are not playing at all, even if you're just playing the dailies, the credit cap is so high for you because it's around 10,000 right now. You don't have to worry about that. Just wait for the day where you are playing more, and then you will just spend all your credits, because credits are going to get scarce once you get to the higher levels. When it comes to gold, it is good to either save them up for some special bundles that usually give you more aside from the conversion of gold to credits that you can see here, here in the shop. You are also usually getting some special things like an alt art for one of the cards or an avatar or something like that. And also you can use gold to refill your daily. So usually for 120 gold, you are getting 150 credits in the shop or as 2 new daily missions. But what the daily missions do for you is they also give you points for your season pass. Now, if you are enjoying the game, if you've played it for a moment, and you know you will be playing it for some time, getting a season pass that is usually around 10 or 15 bucks, depending on the country and the currency conversion rate, is something really good. I mean, you not only are you getting a card that is usually the top meta card for that particular month, and you can see that right now with Zabu, previous month with Silver Surfer, the month before with Black Panther. These are really good cards, and if you don't get them now, they're going to be slightly difficult for you to get because they are going to pool 5, and getting a pool 5 card is rather difficult if you are not spending a ton of money on the game or like several months of your life on the game. Now, if you get that in reverse, if you will be spending a ton of money on the game to get this card, why not spend much less money on it right now? Keep enjoying it and get the card right now. And yeah. Also, you are getting a ton of stuff of your currency. You're getting credits, you're getting gold, you're getting boosters, you're getting variants. So it is really like if you know you will be playing this game, season passes is your way to go. And if not, you're getting, as you can see, this account. On this account, I'm not buying the season pass, only on my main account. But on this, you can see I already got like 100 credits here, 100 gold here, 200 credits here. Here's some boosters. Here's a title. Here's some more credits, etc., etc. So overall, some good stuff. Also, remember to keep your eye on the news section, especially on the inbox section, because once here, once there, you are getting some free stuff from the developers of the game for some milestones that are unlocked by the community, for some events, etc., etc. But you are getting some gold, some credits, some special things. I mean, it's a cool thing. All right. So once you get through the tutorial, once you get Odin, and you keep on playing, you keep upgrading your collection, you are dipping your toes into Pool 1 of the game. And Pool 1 is from level 14, or technically 18, up to 214. And it comprises of a lot of cards, a lot of them cool cards. And in the meantime, you're getting some boosters and some credits, so it's easier for you to level your collection up. And you have to keep in mind, later, it's going to be much more difficult for you to level up your collection this fast. This is just a taste, you know? This is just a taste. And remember, later, it's not going to be that easy. But it's still worth it, in my opinion. Anyway, once you are in Pool 1, the matchmaking in this game works, such as Pool 1 players are paired up against other Pool 1 players. Once you finish Pool 1 and get into Pool 2 of cards, Pool 2 people are playing against Pool 2 people. Once you get through that and into Pool 3 plus, you are playing against like everyone else. If you get your first card from Pool 3, you can play against someone who has the whole collection, etc., etc. And that is good to know, that matchmaking thing, because once you get through Pool 1, once you get up to level 214, like I have here, you can just stop playing for now, or for later, or for a longer period of time. Sorry. Because once you get those additional 8 levels and get this mystery card, whatever that is, you're going to be playing against more difficult decks, more difficult opponents, people who have access to a much wider collection. So in my opinion, it is much better once you get to 214 to stop upgrading your cards, keep accumulating credits and boosters. You can get up to, I think the cap currently is at 10,000 credits. You can save up that much. You can get to the infinity level while playing in Pool 1. And it is going to be much easier for you to play while you're still there. Also, the cards that you are unlocking in Pool 1, they are from, as the name would suggest, a pool of cards, but in a random order. The starter cards are always in the same order, but these ones are a different thing. So for example, my last card here that I've unlocked was Swordmaster. But even when I was on level 20 and playing against people in pool 1, someone could have already had and opened up Swordmaster, or even had the whole pool 1 collection, or a Mantis, etc., etc. But getting through pool 1 is rather fast. This is all about dipping your toes into the game, learning about the game, so use that time to get as much experience as you can. Now, for some more gameplay related tips. Cards have the main stats of a card are their cost and their power. Now, usually when you're thinking of how much power should a card be that costs X, that power should be 2X, which means on average, a good one-cost card should have 2 power and usually a bonus or a benefit. A 2-cost card should have at least 4 stats or slightly lower stats and a benefit. For example, Wolverine, when it's discarded or destroyed, you play it at a random location, so you don't care if it's getting destroyed, etc., etc. Topping off at Hulk, costing 6 for 12 power. That is a very good thing stat-wise. The deeper you go into higher pools, pool 2, pool 3, and on, the more variance these cards get on the risk-reward scenarios. For example, a card that costs 4 might have 0 power, but if certain conditions are met, it can get up to 10 or even 20 power. Next up, while you're in a game, remember, try to learn as much as you can. Read all the cards because you don't know them all. Sometimes the cards are generated by some random effects put into your hand or into play, like for example, District X switches out your deck for some random cards. The Hub or Triskelion give you random cards into your hand. The X Mansion plays out a random card for you and the opponent. You can get a random 6-cost card from the raft, etc., etc. So learn those cards. They are that knowledge is going to be crucial for you the more you keep playing the game. The same goes for the locations. Try to learn what the locations do and try to guesstimate whether they are beneficial for you, whether they are bad for you, whether they are good or bad for the opponent. Because, for example, if you're playing a move deck and there is a good location for move, like Kanlan, whenever a card moves here, it gets +2 power. Then you can snap, because usually you will be getting more from that location than your opponent. On the other hand, if you're playing a move deck and one of the locations is Fisk Tower, which says whenever a character moves here, destroy it, then if someone snaps at you, you might want to be retreating. And on the subject of snapping and retreating, you are playing the game for 1, 2, 4, or 8 cosmic cubes, depending whether one player snapped, both players snapped, or it's the last turn of the game. While the game is still in the stage of you are just playing for 1 cube, it doesn't matter if you see one more card, if you see what the opponent does, whether someone's, as long as no one snaps, the stakes are the same. And if the stakes are not doubled up until round 6, you can just see how the game progresses. Because the opponent it might turn out that the opponent is AFK or something like that. Or some random effects happen for the opponent and suddenly you know that you have the advantage. But as with the learning, as with learning the locations and with learning the cards themselves, learning when to snap, learning when to retreat is a crucial part of how to play Marvel Snap, and it's not a thing to be explained very fast in a short video. All right, one last thing before I finish this rather lengthy video. How to build your deck. Well, there is going to be 5 more videos about 5 decks that I would suggest you play in Pool 1, the Onslaught Zeus Spectrum, Ongoing, Odin Reveal, Midrange, and Move. But the general gist of it is, in a deck, you are aiming to have only 1 6-cost card, 1 5-cost card, 1 or 2 4 costs, sorry, and the rest should be 1 through 3. Like you can see here. America Chavez is an exception, but I'm going to talk about her later. And other effects obviously might supersede that depending on the deck. But that is going to be probably more important in later pools, more pool 3 plus than pool 2 even. Last thing I wanted to say is cards that you should be looking out for because they can make or break your game or the opponent's game. And if you bamboozle someone really hard, that is your way of gaining 8 cubes out of a match because the opponent thinks they're winning and they're snapping at you and they're playing till the very end, but something that you do happens on turn 6 that turns the tide in your favor and suddenly you're that much ahead. So first of those cards is Electra. Unreveal, destroy a random enemy 1-cost card at this location. This can help if you want to keep the opponent from having a full location for things like Ant-Man or Mojo World. Next up, Nightcrawler. You can move this once. Once you play it, don't move it until it is crucial because of the situations or effects. This can populate lanes or locations where you usually can't play stuff, or stuff disappears from there, like Death's Domain, like Luke's Bar, like Sanctum Sanctorum. And this is a very good way of taking control of those locations. Also, remember, if your opponent is playing a Nightcrawler, whether they moved it or not. I mean, I've been playing this game for several months, and I sometimes still forget that an opponent hasn't moved Nightcrawler, and in fact, they can move it out of a full location and still play something into that location, completely blasting out my math. Next up is Cosmo. Ongoing, unreveal abilities won't happen at this location. If you have the initiative, which means you will be revealing cards first, playing Cosmo proactively can really throw a wrench into someone else's plans. For example, they want to play an Odin, but on the same turn you're playing Cosmo into that lane, and you're completely shutting down their plan. Now that is also your way to gain 8 cubes out of a match. On the other side of it, on the other tail of it, you could say, is Enchantress. On reveal, remove the abilities from all ongoing cards at this location. Now, obviously, she can be stopped by Cosmo. That's a silly interaction. That one is always better. But she can shut down lanes with Iron Man, lanes with Onslaught, lanes with Blue Marvel, and even Devil Dinosaur. She is something to look out for sure. I mean, you can protect your lane with Cosmo, but that is another layer of playing the game. Next up, ways to get a lot of stats into one lane or other lanes. Remember, there is a card called Iron Man. You can just double your power. It costs 5, so you can't usually do much more on that turn, but still. You have White Tiger, which plays a 7-power tiger into another location, and it can play into stuff like Sanctum Sanctorum or Death's Domain. And what else? Claw. Ongoing, the location to the right has +6 power. So this is another way of playing one card on turn 5 or turn 6 and affecting 2 lanes at the same time. You have to remember, this only goes to the right, so if it is played on the rightmost location, it doesn't matter, because 4 power for 5 costs is nothing. But the 10 power that is split, 4 to this lane, 6 to the lane on the right, is a huge amount. And obviously Professor X. Now this one can bamboozle a lot of people, especially when they're not expecting it. It is not played that much, but it can change a lot. And it is getting much better in Pool 3 once you get Daredevil, for sure. Also, you have to remember about all the top cards at the end of the spectrum. And once you play several games against all these different decks, you will know which of these the opponent usually can have. Whether it's Spectrum, giving your ongoing cards some more power. Whether it's Onslaught, doubling your other ongoing effects at a certain location. The most bamboozling one, I believe, is still Heimdall. On reveal, move your other cards 1 location to the left. But more on that when I'll be talking about the move deck. And of course, Odin, who on reveal activates the unreveal abilities of your other cards at this location. Now, this is going to be it for this rather lengthy introduction and basic gameplay tips video, but stay tuned for more videos on those 5 decks all can be achieved, all can be built out of the cards in pool 1. And see you around. Calebovitsch out.